What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be giving you a hopefully quick breakdown of my newest song, Reach. And this was inspired mainly by a guy called Blayence. Check him out. And here's the little preview of what it sounds like. You can find the full thing on my SoundCloud. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first thing we have here is these vocals. Let's just go over these first. This is by David. A lot of you probably know this guy. And this is his song called Poetic Vulgarity. And
hello, are you there? 'Cause I missed you at the show tonight.
So that's what it sounds like by itself right now. I actually had to adjust this track. I was intending to make this in 4/4, but because this vocal, I liked it so much, I changed the whole song into 3/4. That kind of gives it a interesting vibe that you don't really hear from a lot of these types of beats. So let's look over what I did to this vocal. In order to get a style like this, you know, kind of like a dark but kind of vibey style, the best thing I would recommend is to make sure your vocals are a couple semitones pitched down, but not too far, because for example, when you pitch this down to like 6 semitones, it starts sounding like really muddy.
Hello, are you there? 'Cause I missed you at the show tonight.
Like, you can kind of tell what he's saying, but it sounds like a TikTok edit. So anywhere from like -1 semitone all the way down to like 4 semitones works. So I just threw this into a mixing track right here, and I have a couple things on this, not a ton. I have a little Maximus. It's kind of weird because it's like the mix level is on like half, and then I also have another small compressor here, and I also have some chorus that is very light. If you start adding too much chorus, it starts to sound very strange. So I would tend to only use a little bit of chorus. And then I just have Reverb, which is a very nice reverb plugin. And then after all of that, I just have a little EQ here. It's kind of heavy. This can definitely change depending on what your acapella is. It definitely does not have to be like this at all. It's just what sounded best to me for this acapella. And I also have a small gain boost because I don't feel like doing this. So this is what it sounds like without any effects applied.
Hello, are you there? 'Cause I missed you at the show tonight. Anytime.
Then this is what it sounds like with all of the effects applied.
Hello, are you there? 'Cause I missed you at the show tonight.
Quite a big difference, to be honest. So next, let's look at this sample. I have quite a bit happening here, actually, but the main two parts of this are this part and then the piano. The sample itself sounds like this. And then the piano sounds like this. So this piano is from Spitfire Labs, probably one of my favorite pianos ever. It's just the basic soft piano. Most people have this. If you don't, it is free, so go get it. I have one that's playing the root notes, which is actually a one-shot. And then I have one that is playing these high notes. And then I have another piano that's just playing the root notes but pitched up. So this piano is actually put into its own mixer track here, and it has its own little EQ, and then it is actually routed to the sample track. So the sample itself has quite a bit happening to it. Without any effects, it sounds like this. And then with effects, it sounds like this. So, quite a big difference here. So let's look at this. The first thing I have here is called the King 2, which is basically a better OTT. It has more things you can do with it, and looks like this. I have the high boosted a ton, and it adds some kind of clarity and sharpness to it. Then next I have Chroma, which is a wonderful reharmonization plugin. Basically what it does is it'll take this sample and it will take all of the frequencies that are out of a certain key and retune them to that key. So for example, this is in C minor, or C sharp minor, sorry. All you have to do is put in C sharp here and then change it to minor mode, and then you can adjust the color, which will change how harsh the effect is applied. And it's incredibly useful for this type of song where the sample is kind of abstract in a way. Doesn't really have a lot actually happening to it. Next we have another Tor Verb, which is just a great reverb plugin all around. There's a ton of presets. I have it on ambient lament, and I think I adjusted the dry wet knob here and the output volume a little bit. Then we have an EQ with some cuts in some frequencies, because if you turn this off, you start to hear some ringing later on in the sample. I think it's like here. Yeah, that little ring sound. I EQ'd it so it's a lot less harsh. And that just boosts some more highs and dips a little bit here in the mids. And then I just have some gain as well. So that is all there is for the sample. Later on in the song there is a pitched down version, which is just the same thing right here. So with the two of them together it sounds like this. Next up, let's look at the 808, and it sounds like this. So this 808 is in its own channel, and there is a decent amount happening here. But before we look at that, we need to actually look at the sample itself. I found one that was really nice. I added some loop points to this fretless bass, so it just continues playing. Sounds like this. And then, with all the effects applied, it sounds like this. Secret sauce for this. It's Fruity Wave Shaper. Fruity Wave Shaper comes in clutch for this 808. Without the Wave Shaper, it sounds quite different. It has a little more grit to it. So because the sample itself is actually stereo, but I didn't really like it, I had to put a stereo enhancer on here to completely eliminate all of the stereo separation. And then I added my own imager, which will probably break the computer. Yeah. And then I added my own imager to add its own stereo separation and width to it. Then I have another kind of harsh EQ here, cutting out all of these highs because the wave shaper will add in extra distortion frequencies like this. So I'm just cutting out those highs. Then I also add some gain and a bass boost on. And I basically, for the pattern, I basically just have it sliding between G sharp and C sharp the whole time. Then let's look at our drums here. So I have quite a few effects here at the beginning. I just have kind of some ambient sounds. This one. And then I have a couple risers. This riser is actually sent into my sample to get that chroma applied to it. Then I also have this effect. I exported a small part of this song and then added some reverb and then reversed it, which gave me this. So then I have all of this together. Now into the actual drop, I have a small downlifter here. And then into the actual drums, it sounds like this. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Epic, how did you get your kick so clean? It sounds so cool. EQ. I also pitched down the kick by 2 semitones to get it a little deeper, but it's really just EQ. And then I have some cool hats here that sound like this. I just have a generic hi-hat in a, pretty typical pattern here. Then I have some open hats. And then probably my favorite part to the drums are these rides. So these rides add a little bit of punch to the kick, but they also establish a sense of like groove and rhythm to it. And then I also have this kind of rim type of snare. Just a very, very small EQ. I do introduce a different type of snare in the second bar. Has a bit of EQ happening here. Boost the mids because it lacks quite a bit. The hi-hats have a little bit happening. Just a little bit of reverb and an EQ to kind of boost the highs because these hi-hats lack some high end. But that is not the case for all hi-hats, so just adjust according to whatever you're using. Then I also have a small bit of stereo separation. And then later on in the song, I also do introduce some snares that sound like this. And these snares add a lot of bounce to this. An incredibly important part to all of these drums is that they are completely shifted off beat. So let me turn on the metronome here. As you can tell, everything is completely off sync with the actual metronome, but the kicks stay in sync. This adds a lot of bounce to your track. In the second bar, I also introduce these rides. Sound like this. Which are also slightly shifted off the beat. So everything together sounds like this. And that is the drums. And then for all of the other effects, most of it is just side chaining and some reverb automation. The sample, the 808, and the drums are mostly all sidechained to the kick quite heavily, just like this, using an automation. You can use a limiter of whatever kind, but I find that just manual automation works better. And that is basically it for the track. Now for the master, I have quite a few things happening. This bottom tor verb is just reverb to adjust, I believe, later on in the song. I don't know. So I have a couple FabFilter plugins on here and then an EQ. The first thing here is Pro Q3, which is just an EQ. And I have it on this mix setting called Subgroup Sorcery. It's actually very cool. Then I also have Pro MB on here, which compresses the subs and it adds some punch to it and kind of cleans up the lows. Then to kind of saturate this track a little bit more, I have this preset that I made myself called Transit But Better. It is based on Transit here, but I adjust a couple things and you can kind of just look at the settings here. Then finally I just have a small EQ. For whatever reason, when you have a high pass that is like right here at the very bottom, it completely changes the sound and I'm not entirely sure why. I'm not sure if it's the same thing on other DAWs, but make sure you do this. Make sure you have a high pass that is right at the very bottom where you can't really hear these frequencies. And then I also have a small boost to the subs, small dip in the mids, and then a small boost to the treble. And that is all there is besides Fruity Soft Clipper, the best plugin in the world. I think that's it. Let me know if you have any questions about this track. You can DM me on my Discord at _epic, and I'll try to reply as fast as I can to help you out with whatever. Yeah, I'd greatly appreciate a sub. This helped a little bit. If you learned a little something, and get it to 1,000 streams, please. I'll leave the link down in the description so you can listen to the full thing. And thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one.